you've been looking to flip your first property, then what I'm going to do is give you the ABC, or the 1, 2, 3 of what you need to do to make sure that you actually make a profit and you don't lose money. Hey, John Sellers here. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Hey, if you are an agent and want to know more about how to build health, wealth, and freedom all into your life so that your business isn't just controlling everything, but you built not only today, but the future for yourself, then you're going to want to like, subscribe, and stay on this channel, because that is what we talk about, how to build real wealth in all the areas of your life. You know, after flipping over 100 houses, what I figured out is a lot of people want to make it a lot more complicated than it is. A lot of times they want to make it more complicated so they can sell you more expensive products and scare the pee out of you. But there's really 3 things that you need to know to make it work. I like to call it's a 3-legged stool. The 1, 2, 3, or the ABC. If you get any of these wrong, you're going to be in trouble. If you get one of them, you might be okay. But if you get 2 out of the 3 wrong, you are in big trouble. So let's talk about the first one. The first is you've got to find a product that you can buy at the right price. So you've got to say, am I getting this at the deal that's going to make sense? And you know, people think, oh, there's not deals out there in hot markets. There are always people that need to sell at a discount. You just need to get very clear on, am I buying this at the right price? Am I buying this deep enough that it makes sense for when I'm going to sell? And what we're going to talk about is you're typically going to work backwards. What that means is you're going to have to know what it is that you're going to have to sell it for and how to make the middle work. But the first piece of this, am I buying this right? Am I getting this at a deep enough discount? The next piece is, what repairs and what carrying costs do I have? A lot of people underestimate this. It's funny, you know, you've heard the story that everything takes twice as long and costs twice as much as what you think it's going to be. But most people don't plan that into their numbers. So first, we've got to figure out what repairs and updates are you going to need to do. Now, some of them you have no question, hey, the hot water heater has to be replaced. But some of the ones are, should I totally remodel this kitchen or should I just do a quick update? A lot of that's going to have to do with what the number you can actually sell it for, which is going to be item number C or 3 that we'll talk about next. So first, we got to figure out what are the mandatory repairs that it's going to take to get this property up and running. Now, what are the next level that we could do? We could have a couple different options. Say if we do a minimum kitchen, how much would that update the value of the property? If we do this, how much more can we get? A lot of it's going to have to do with what are the other comparables in the neighborhood? What are the other things selling for? If most of them are fixed up very nice, then you're going to have room to do that. If most of them are very minimal, you're not going to be able to do that. The next in here is understanding what are your carrying costs. So what are carrying costs? Well, it could be you're going to have insurance. You're going to have interest if you're borrowing money to do the repairs. You're going to have utilities of why you're carrying the property. So we talked about the fix-up costs, but you're also going to have costs to sell. So you're going to have real estate costs on the way back out. You're going to have what were your costs to come into the deal from title, escrow, and then you're also going to have title and escrow and realtor fees on the way back out. So now you've got B would be, or number 2 would be, what are all my fix-up costs? What are all my carrying costs during this to come up with that number? Most people underestimate this number. So when you're an amateur at doing flips, you want to figure out, hey, what's a 10%, at least 10% more in costs for repairs? Now, most of the time you can figure out what the carrying costs are pretty straightforward. You can go to the title company, but in most cases, I'm going to figure out at least 10% more of it's going to cost me of time and of expenses than what I think. It's better to always overestimate than it is to underestimate. So now we're going to talk about item number 3, C, or what I like to say, the 3rd leg of that stool. This one is critical, and again, it's one that I find agents that are flipping houses, the folks that are just getting into it, they want to overestimate what they can actually sell it for. So here's what we do. They overpay for the property, then they spend too much to fix it up, and then it doesn't sell for what they think it did. See how that easy that is to have a disaster? But let's look at it the other way. Now, if we have the price that we're buying at a good price, we are good at what we know in terms of the costs, and we actually have an underestimate of what we can sell it for and we get more for it, we're going to win above our numbers. And that's really the key, is that we have to build margin in all these areas. So when you're doing these comps, you don't want to just do it simple. You want to get into real detail. So these are the comps. Did they actually put granite in the kitchen? Did they actually update all the windows? Is that a new roof? When they did a fix-up, did they actually do a total fix-up, or they just do a little bit? So when people say fix-up, a lot of times they just paint new carpet in. That's not a whole new bathroom remodel. That's not a whole new kitchen remodel. They didn't do anything special in that property. They didn't upgrade the yard. So you want to make sure when you're looking at your flip, what are you doing compared to those comps? And remember that there's a certain point, doesn't matter how much more you do, you're not going to get that much more than the highest comp in that neighborhood. So you got to make sure you're really sticking to that area. Make sure you're not overestimating, because if you overestimate, you're going to get in big trouble. So let's do a quick recap on this again. So first we had, are you buying right? Are you doing the repairs that are necessary? Or you have a true budget for that? And do you have a timeline? So when we talk about timeline, if it's going to take you 90 days to do the repairs, you better budget in at least 90 days of carrying costs in addition, because on the market, it might take a little more longer to sell. You typically are going to look at a 45 to 60 day closing period once you go in escrow. So rarely am I going to look at a deal that I'm not counting at least 6 months to 8 months of carrying costs. That's got to be added in. Now, if we think that the property can sell for 300 on the high end, on the low end, it's 270, I'm probably budgeting in at 285. Because I feel, depending on where the market's moving. If the market's moving down, I'm going to be more conservative. If the market's moving up, I'm going to be less conservative because I know those numbers. So let's work this backwards. So if we have X we think we can sell it for, we've got the budget of what we think our carrying costs and our fix-up's going to be. We're going to subtract that from what we think we can sell it for conservatively, and that's going to give us that number of what we can pay for it. It's not a personal thing when you're offering to people. This is just the number, because the last thing you want to do is go through all the work of fixing up a property, doing all these repairs, and lose money. And it happens to a lot of people because they don't know how to work backwards. And I'm seeing this from agents all the time when they bring me deals. Boy, there should be money. And I'm like, how did you calculate that in? You did not have carrying costs. You didn't have true fix-up costs. Yeah, if I'm buying it for a different reason, but as an investor and a flip guy, I'm going to know these numbers. So when you put these numbers together, you are going to win. So understand the ABC, or what I like to say, the three-legged stool. If you get 2 out of 3 of those right, most of the time you're going to win. But if you get 2 out of 3 of them wrong, you're going to be in big trouble. But I'm telling you, if you get 3 out of 3 right, you are going to have a home run. And when it really comes to flipping houses, you're not looking for home runs. What you're looking for is a lot of doubles. If you can get a lot of doubles in play, make sure you've protected your downside, then when you get that home run, it's going to be a winner. Hey guys, John Sellers here again. If you are an agent and want to figure out how to create health, wealth, and freedom into your life, that is what I specialize in, and that is what I've been able to do as an agent, where I've been able to create a passive income, multiple passive incomes that are over 6 figures a year, that I've been able to build a business that allows me to live wherever I want to live, have that time and location freedom. And that is what I specialize in. That is what we talk about on this YouTube channel. So like and subscribe. And if you'd like to know more about how to create that freedom in your life, reach out to me. There's multiple ways to do it. We should have a conversation.